I've got Dr. Syed Bahauddin Alam. He is a nuclear scientist. And I just want to know, I mean, what does that even mean, right? So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me here. That's a really exciting opportunity for me.
No, well, listen, I think it's wonderful just speaking to you and trying to understand what you do. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Look, to give a little bit background on you, you've got an electrical engineering degree from Bangladesh in Dhaka, from Buet.
Yes.
And you have an MPhil in nuclear energy from Cambridge University,
yes,
and a PhD in nuclear engineering.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty incredible, right?
I was just lucky, I think.
I don't think it's just luck. I think it's a lot of hard work and talent. So, look, at the moment, you work for the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission in France,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You're based there at the moment.
Yeah.
And look, you started there in 2018?
2018 February,
yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
And before that, obviously, you were doing your PhD and you were studying.
Yeah.
We'll go to what you're doing right now, but I think what's really interesting for the viewers will be to find out, I guess, the kind of research that you've been involved with, especially when you were doing the PhD, because I think that way we can then understand what you do.
Okay, thanks. I'm really scared because
No,
I have never been to TV. So just
you're just talking to me.
Okay.
Don't
so
worry.
like my research, like I started my master's in Cambridge back in 2012 October.
Yeah.
And in October, basically, for 1 year master's, I have to do the coursework and others. And in master's, basically, it was just I was learning research, how to do research, and how to do like working on the nuclear reactor physics kind of computation stuff. So basically, my main research started back in 2014 when I started my PhD. So my research, I can explain it very easily. It's just to like making or designing a battery. You know battery.
Yeah, of course.
So if you know battery, then you can easily understand my research.
Okay.
So my research was basically designing a battery which can live longer, almost for 15 to 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because you have your battery in the mobile, right?
Of course.
It can survive for maybe 1 day or something like this.
Yeah.
So my battery is exactly like this, which will survive for 15 years. But obviously, it's gonna be sized like mine, like 5 feet 9 inches, and like this thick. Okay, so this is just the battery. Okay, so you might ask that, okay, so if it's just the battery, so what's new there?
Yeah.
So the thing is that, obviously you have heard about uranium fuel.
Yes.
Right. So generally, if the uranium fuel is powerful, the more powerful the battery will be, more like will last longer. But the problem is that, according to Nuclear Regulatory Commission, if you want to make a battery which will be used by civilian people like us, not for the military one, so it should be actually lower power, like lower power uranium. We call it kind of enrichment. So in scientific jargon, so lower power enrichment you have to use. But the problem is that if the uranium is lower power, you will not actually get that much actually higher long life for 20 years. So then actually I was stuck in my PhD that, okay, what should I do then? Like, okay, I have to like wrap up my PhD and let's go to Bangladesh then. Okay, okay, no, I didn't do that. So obviously with the help of my supervisors and the team members, so I have come up with the idea of designing a fuel which is actually different from the conventional uranium dioxide fuel, which is actually used by all the nuclear countries. So my fuel is basically, it's called actually microheterogeneous duplex fuel. It's based on basically thorium. And we wanted to actually end up with thorium because thorium is actually pretty much available in nature, and it's cheaper than uranium, and uranium will be going to be depleted maybe pretty soon, not pretty soon, maybe 100 or 150 years. So we have actually the design I have done for the battery. It seems that if we use that microheterogeneous duplex fuel, we'll get actually better life than uranium dioxide fuel, and obviously other characteristics that nuclear battery would like to have. So basically, I have designed this microheterogeneous duplex fuel with the battery that is called in nuclear industry a small modular reactor. And one thing I should address that, in generally in the nuclear reactors, you need to control the reactor, right? You need to control the reactor.
Yeah.
Obviously, you control your like battery.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how do you control
Well,
your
charge
battery?
it, I switch it off. You know.
Exactly. So when you have lots of apps open, you just like turn off some apps. That's control, right? So like we have to control the reactor so that it's like doesn't go for any accident condition. So generally in the reactor core, nuclear power plant engineers use like a boron system, soluble boron. So in my core, like I just eliminated all the boron system, and rather I have to develop a completely different reactivity control. It's the reactivity, nuclear power things. So I have to design the complete control system. So, and obviously my small modular reactor things are actually smaller than a small modular reactor, because I wanted to design it for basically ship like Titanic, or others, Titanic.
Yeah.
So like rather than diesel engine, we'll replace the battery. It will actually straight work for 20 years.
So you designed that whilst you
it's computational. So in Cambridge, I have done this, like develop the method and design this.
Okay.
So in in nuclear engineering, there are like subdivisions. So my subdivisions are reactor physics and thermal hydraulics.
Okay.
So I have to design it using reactor physics methods. And then when the designed systems are actually on the platform, so I have to test whether it can satisfy the thermal conditions. So I have to test that. So this is basically my PhD.
That's incredible. Wow. And you've won a number of awards. That's incredible. Through Cambridge as well, but through institutions outside of Cambridge for the paper that you've done. So that's wonderful.
Okay, yeah, I just addressed that. I think I'm a bit lucky, and my competitors were quite benign, and they just told me, look, say it, take it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But look, let's go back a little bit as well. You obviously started, when you started doing your degree, it was electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Why did you move to nuclear?
Okay.
From electrical engineering?
Okay, pretty hard question, to be honest. So I can answer it from my experience rather than just putting some words. So I born and raised in actually Chittagong, Bangladesh. You heard about it?
Yeah,
Chittagong,
of course.
Bangladesh. Okay.
Of course, I've been there.
So my childhood, I can just remember in every evening it's just either candle, like in Bangla it calls mombati, and hurricane, like this thing. So and with lots of mosquitoes, obviously. So obviously, it always haunted me that when I started, like people generally started start studying for or doing the homework in the evening, right? And in the evening, I can just imagine that in all the homework is just dark and just one candle is there. Okay, so it's like obviously I was used to it, but when I did my undergrad and others, at the end of my third year, I thought I was just talking to one of my professors in Buet. His name is Dr. Abdul Motin. He's my father-like figure. I was just talking to him, and that I want to actually work on something very different, which will actually will be useful for power production and kind of sustainable energy.
Yeah.
So he suggested me that okay, if you want to really fill a gap in this, and if you want to work for some future energy, future power system, I think nuclear would be a good choice. Then I started working, just talking about nuclear and actually talking seriously about nuclear. And sometimes I just made it quite fun. So people are like, okay, Syed, you're kind of a joke. So I made web page and others. It was like fun that.
But you said one of the things, because I said to you, it must have been so difficult to do a PhD in what you were doing, and you said no, it's actually I enjoy it, so it doesn't seem like hard work, but it comes naturally to you. It sounds like.
Yeah, the thing is that when I did my master's, I actually straight directly from electrical engineering to nuclear engineering. So master's was pretty hard for me, because things were pretty new. I had the course like reactor physics, fluid dynamics, this type of things actually what's quite unknown to me, quite new. So in master's it was quite hard, but in my PhD, when I already grasped the idea, and my colleagues were there, and I was pretty fancy towards the subject. Like, okay, I'm designing or something, and in my PhD I had the opportunity of visiting and working for some labs. Still I'm working with US Rhode Island Atomic Energy Commission and some of the labs. So there are some really knowledgeable persons and others who made my life quite easier. Like rather than just doing the maths and others, they just taught me how you can see this thing, like the neutron flow, the reactor systems and others, that made my life quite easier, and I enjoyed that.
So do you think everything that you've gained over the last few years, do you think you'll go back to Bangladesh and kind of use what you've learned and, I don't know, give back in some way?
Yeah, but that's that's a pretty obvious question. So the thing is that Bangladesh, I think you know that Bangladesh is building nuclear power plant, and Rupur nuclear power plant is going to be operational maybe by 2-3 years. Yeah. So obviously, if I got a really bigger opportunity there, why not? Why not? And obviously, I'm also thinking that maybe after 10 years, I can propose to our government to introduce some small modular reactor, because generally the big power plants, conventional power plants, actually cover the big area. But if you just want to cover only the Chittagong or even the East London, the small modular reactor of this battery size would work. So and the construction cost and other will be much less. So obviously I have a plan for Bangladesh.
Oh, that's good, that's good. And what about if people are watching and you've got people that you know still at Buet? Of course.
Okay, I forgot actually. Now I'm getting scared.
But you know, there's students at Buet at the moment, and there's students everywhere, to be honest. What advice would you give? Because it is an industry that we don't, you know, as a person that is living everyday life, you don't hear about it all the time. But what advice would you give, and how would you encourage people to look into this sector?
Oh, I'm not knowledgeable enough to actually advise them. I can just tell them what to do.
Yeah?
I'm not in the position to advise them, because people are very intelligent nowadays.
No, of course. But I mean, you're in it right now. So you don't realise this now because you seem very humble. But, you know, people will find you inspiring, because you have you've given your time to research, and now you're working, you know, again, doing more research. So give some advice on what people can do.
Rather than advising, I can just share my experience, I think.
Yeah.
So, I have actually one, in social media, like in Facebook, I have a platform, like Nuclear School. So when I started Nuclear School, it has almost 17,000 people connected.
Oh, wow. Okay, fantastic. So people should go onto your page and have a look. No, I think it's wonderful. I'm going to follow it just so I can try and understand what you do.
Okay, yeah, actually it's not only my page. Lots of my junior brothers are basically helping me running that thing. So actually through the page, when I started the page and while I was doing my PhD, lots of people asked me that, okay, what's the future of nuclear? Because it's a pretty new subject in Bangladesh. So I always actually want to tell them, not just advise, I just want to share my experience that nuclear engineering is not just nuclear reactor core. Actually in nuclear engineering there are reactor physics, thermal hydraulics, economics, policy, business, everything. If it starts from mathematics, computation, everything.
Yeah.
So lots of people might wonder that, okay, if we do nuclear, then we'll have a difficulty in getting job. It's not true. Obviously, if you come to UK or you in USA in labs where you have to work in hands, it's very hard if you're not citizen. But from my side, the work I'm doing, basically, I am working on the design. Yeah. Computational design, developing mathematics. So these kind of jobs are very available.
Okay.
And it's lots of fundings and lots of opportunities are there.
Well, Dr. Syed Bahauddin Alam, thank you so much for coming in.